production begins in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, and welcome to United Way Update. I'm your host, Amy Leppins, Assistant Director of United Way of the Lower Eastern Shore. Joining me today is our board member and the co-chair of our Emerging Leaders Group, Beth Reid. Beth, welcome to United Way Update.
Hi, Amy. Thank you.
Are you excited to be here?
I'm excited.
Good. So to get started, let's just hear a little bit about your background, your professional background, when you came to Salisbury, because I know you're not from here, correct?
No.
Okay.
I moved to the Eastern Shore 14 years ago from Portland, Oregon, but I've been in Salisbury since 2008. Went back to school for nursing in 2009 or 2009. I graduated from nursing school and started at Peninsula Regional in 2010. And that's where I really got introduced personally to United Way here on the Eastern Shore.
Okay, great. So what do you do now?
Now I am an RN by profession, but I'm the program director of the Peninsula Wound and Hyperbaric Center at Peninsula Regional Medical Center. And so I am responsible for everything to do with that wound center. It's an outpatient wound center.
Okay, great. And in addition to your professional involvement with United Way through PRMC, I know you have some family connections with our local United Way. So tell us about those.
Absolutely. So my brother, Aaron Reid, used to have your position as the assistant director here of our local United Way. And he now is the president of the United Way for Warren County in north of Cincinnati in the Ohio area. And also, a good thing but not a good thing, my little sister, her and her family live in Ocean Pines. And a little bit over a year ago, their house caught on fire. They lost everything. She's married with 4 children. And the first people that arrived to provide them assistance was the Red Cross, one of our partner agencies, and provided them care packages for the kids, teddy bears, hotel accommodations, even emergency money. So they were the first ones, right there. So it was a true impact, not only from seeing what my family's been involved with, but just, the give back that United Way provides for our community.
Right, and I remember when that happened, and it was really the whole community came together to help your sister's family.
Absolutely.
That was a tough time.
That's one thing about the Eastern Shore, that the community just really wraps their arms around, crisis situation when there's families involved.
Right. So that sort of leads us into what United Way does in general. So if you were to explain what our United Way of the Lower Eastern Shore is all about to a stranger, what is United Way to you?
United Way is really, to me, the backbone of the community for any type of crisis situation. We work with so many different organizations and partner with them to assure that any money that we're donating to these different groups, that it's really going to the right mission or the right sources. So I think that they are really the go-to people that can kind of coordinate everything for disaster relief, any type of hurricane, any type of crisis situation that occurs, whether it be a family or a whole community. They're the first ones there to make sure that things are taken care of.
Mm-hmm. And what a lot of people don't realize is that United Way in general is a large organization. We are actually part of 1,800,
Right.
a group of 1,800 local and independently run United Ways around the world. But our particular United Way is 100% local. We cover Somerset, Dorchester, Wicomico, and Worcester counties. So all of the support that we raise, all of the donations, they stay right here on the Eastern Shore, and they help the families that really need it.
Absolutely.
And each year, in fact, this year alone, we've helped over 78,000 families move towards self-sufficiency. Families, kids through educational programs and health programs, seniors, and those who are most vulnerable through those different types of basic human needs programs.
Right.
So it's a really exciting and complicated organization to be a part of. And you have recently joined our board of directors.
Yes, this
last year, and you're also involved with our Emerging Leaders Group. So I guess we can just sort of go right into emerging leaders, which is what we're here to talk about today. So
perfect.
what is the emerging leaders?
Good question. The Emerging Leaders is really, it's a group of young people, young professionals in the community that see the value of United Way and see what it brings to the community, and they start by donating $250 or more a year. So that's really where the basis of Emerging Leaders starts. And out of that, we find people that really want to get involved more than donating. Emerging Leaders, we do things all throughout the community, and we're trying to branch out to the other local communities that we cover. But Emerging Leaders itself is just a fun way to give back and to be involved in not only coordinating but fundraising events and volunteering.
For someone who's interested in getting involved but doesn't really know if they're an emerging leader, what exactly is an emerging leader?
Absolutely. I had the same question. Emerging leaders, when you would go to the website, you would see all these really young people in their early 20s. And my question was the same thing, am I too old to be an emerging leader? But we look at anybody in their early 20s to 45 years old. If you were 45 years old, if you had your birthday as an emerging leader, we're not going to age you out. You're welcome to stay, but definitely want to look at your early 20s to 45 would be the age group.
So it's really just somebody who's young at heart and wants to roll up their sleeves and get involved.
And give back.
Okay,
Absolutely.
great. So who plans all of the events and that sort of thing?
So we have a core group of emerging leaders, and we meet every month. So we put together fundraisers, we put together give backs to children, carnivals, volunteer events, ramp builds. So it's myself, there's other members. We have a core team that meets every month, and then we have just the volunteers, anybody else that wants to come and join to be a part of it. We don't necessarily need everybody at the meetings, but we do need those Indians out there doing the work.
Right. And say I am a young professional in the community. I don't know much about United Way, but I know I want to get involved. How does that work if I want to get involved but I haven't made my donation yet or something like that? Are there different events that I can show up to?
Absolutely, absolutely. All of our events are open to the public. Sometimes our events are held in locations where they're 21 and over. Sometimes our events are, whether if it's a fundraiser, sometimes they're 18 and over. But we have fundraiser events, volunteer events, any of those events that we publicize, anybody's welcome to come to. For example, we do a lot of guest bartending, and a lot of times all of those tips that are earned are donated right back to the United Way.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about the guest bartending events. How many have you had? Where have you had them? I know you've been very instrumental in planning and getting those off the ground.
They're a lot of fun, but it's not just me. I mean, we get a lot of support from the community, you know. So the guest bartending, we've started to do this every quarter. We've secured a couple different locations, and we've been really able to work with Headquarters Live and Roadie Joe's here locally to every quarter go back and forth. So we do fundraising, for example, at Headquarters we have a band that comes in, Dirt Road Outlaws. They completely volunteer all of their time and their talent. They play for us. We bring in the guest bartenders. We've had our former mayor, Jim Ironton. We had Jake Day, Chris Perdue. We've had them guest bartend for us. We did a little competition between the different insurance companies in town and had Duke Marshall and Pete Murphy and Angie Strouth. So they all did a little competition at Headquarters one time just to see who could raise the most tips. We've also done a guest bartending at the Brick Room, kind of a last minute thing. We raised over $600 in 2.5 hours. So it was really kind of fun. Myself and Mary Mengeson, another board member.
Okay. And what I've seen lately is that we're getting approached by people outside of the Wicomico County area
Absolutely.
who've heard about, Wicomico, it's sort of been the core of what's gone on. But we were recently contacted by some people who are having an event at Burley Oak.
Yes, March 21st. We will be doing a guest bartending there. This one we're not as involved in because they called us and just reached out to us, and so we're going to be in full attendance. Emerging leaders. We sent out massive, invites throughout the community. I really tried to reach out to my Worcester County friends because we really want to move into that county. There's a lot of opportunity down there to increase our donation pool and get more people involved and bring that awareness. So I think that'll be our first little get us into Worcester County, but I think that'll grow a lot from there.
And I know the reputation of the emerging leaders and some of the partnerships that we've formed in our own community, it's really getting out there. So it's great that people are reaching out to us. That's what we
Right.
want. We
Absolutely.
love that.
Absolutely. Absolutely makes it easier.
Okay, so how about some of the other different types of events that you've had in the past? I know you've done a lot of volunteer events, so can you talk
Correct.
about some of those past events?
So one of the big volunteer events we do is ramp builds. So we have a lot of members of our community who are, stuck in their house, whether they're in a wheelchair bound and they have a ramp right now that's inaccessible to them or not safe. We go out with Chesapeake Housing Mission and join with them and partner with them and do ramp builds. So we bring in a lot of volunteers for that. We do Christmas parties for kids for kind of the lower, I don't know how you would classify them.
At risk.
At-risk kids. We just recently did one in Pocomoke. And Annette Wallace, one of our members and my co-chair for the Emerging Leaders, is the principal there. So we were able to use that high school and do a Christmas gingerbread building party. We've done Valentine's Day carnivals for the last couple years. Wow, there's just a plethora of things.
One thing that the group got involved with for the first time this year really was we had received a large grant, Bless Our Children grant from Draper Holdings, and United Way itself was able to provide, because of that grant, a significant amount of dollars for our emerging leaders to go out and purchase gifts for children at the holidays. So can you talk about that experience?
Oh yes, that was a challenge for me. We backed up. We delivered all the meals that were provided by PRMC for Thanksgiving to the families. That same group of families, we then were able to provide all the Christmas gifts. So we kind of partnered up, and us emerging leaders partnered up and chose names and went and shopped for those families. I personally don't have children, but I shopped for 6 children, which was my biggest challenge. So we shopped for children. I think there was probably 15 families that we were able to purchase gifts for. And all the gifts were delivered at the United Way office, and there was a wrapping party, and then we took them all out and delivered them. So it was kind of exciting. And then we also were able to join with the Elks Lodge, and they delivered all the Christmas meals with them, that same group.
So did you get to meet the family?
I did.
How was that experience?
Magical. Lots of beautiful kids. Interesting. It was kind of, to see the smiles on the faces and the curiosity, and then the children that weren't part of the family that were like, well, why aren't you coming to my house? And those types of questions. So, I mean, it's a feel good. It's a great give back.
Have you ever been a part of anything like that before?
No, not at all.
Good.
And I think that's the reward, is just, seeing the smiles and, and emerging leaders is, you can always donate money, but to actually put in your time and to volunteer, that's where the reward comes from, personally.
Right. And so talk about some of the latest things that are going on with emerging leaders. You've formed a really good partnership with the Salisbury Chamber YP group.
Yes.
Can you expand on
Yes.
that a little?
So what we found was we were kind of the similar groups with kind of the similar goals. What we were strong in volunteering and fundraising is part of what the YPs discovered that they were weak in, but they're strong in leadership and networking. So we really wanted to join those two groups together and see how we could work together in synergy and make our community better. So now we're bringing them in. We just did a speed networking event last week, where we joined with the YPs, and actually the JCs joined us on that event and did the speed networking, and it was the first one. It was really interesting and a lot of fun.
So what do you do when you speed network?
Speed networking. You bring in people from anywhere, that whatever their profession is, and you are at a table of 8 and you rotate. Everybody gives a 90-second spiel of what they do, what's their business, anything they want you to know about their organization.
And then what happens after they give their spiel?
We rotate, and you go to the next
Okay.
table, and you just you keep talking, and then we mingle later afterwards, just to kind of it's a networking.
Okay.
But it's really that opportunity for a lot of younger people that aren't out there getting to know people in other professions. It's just giving them the opportunity.
Right. I don't think I've ever been a part of something like that. It sounds a lot like speed dating, which is, I guess,
Exactly.
something fortunately I
And
haven't
maybe
been
I should try
part of.
that.
But that sounds like a lot of fun.
It was.
Are you
It was.
planning to do more things like that?
Definitely. We're planning on, we're actually looking at doing a Christmas in July with the YPs and the emerging leaders. Kind of a takeoff of our holiday ball that the United Way hosts every year, but something that's not as formal and more focusing on the younger generations that don't always participate in the holiday ball. We've also got a miniature putt-putt golf coming up, which was a former signature event of the emerging leaders. And so we're really excited to bring that back. And it'll be another fundraiser, lots of teams. We're going to have costumes. It should be exciting. It'll be in Ocean City.
And when will that happen?
That is
Late April?
April 30th. April
Okay.
30th.
Okay. So we should talk a little bit about the evolution of the emerging leaders, because it started my first year with United Way in 2010
Correct.
as the Young Leaders Society. And a lot of the events that we still do are events that, I mean, this is the fifth year that
Correct.
a lot of these events are going on. So how do you see that it's evolved over the years? What are some of the changes that are making it more successful now?
I think one of the biggest, one obvious change is we changed our names. Changed our name from Young Leaders Society to the Emerging Leaders. I joke that maybe that because we're all getting older that we needed to change that. I think that it started as a real formal, structured group, and I think we've kind of morphed into more of a relaxed, more fun, still cohesive and still very organized, but not so much leaving work and coming into another board meeting kind of
Right.
concept. We've kind of tried to lighten it up and reach out to different communities and see if we can get more people involved.
Okay. You just mentioned leaving work and coming to another board meeting. So I want to point out that groups like this are a very good platform for grooming for those types of
Absolutely.
experience. So can you talk
Absolutely.
about how it's affected you professionally?
I think a lot of it really just, it builds confidence. Whether it's in your leadership skills, whether your ability how to work with others, especially when you don't know the people. It's provided kind of a foundation for many people that even aren't on the board now, but maybe they want to move towards that direction, because we've wanted to focus on doing some board training, because a lot of people don't understand what does it mean to be on a board, what board opportunities are in the community. And I think that there's a lot of people out there that want to get more involved. And I think this is our opportunity to kind of, allow that entry level, or at least get their foot in the door to understand, what goes along with a big organization.
So what are some goals for the future for emerging leaders?
Well, I think part of the goals for the future would probably be to get more people involved, to get more people aware of not only the United Way and what it brings to our Eastern Shore, but what they can do. What at the younger levels. I mean, we have so many student campaigns that happen now and student groups that I think with the emerging leaders is a matter of just the awareness of United Way, and really branching out to, again, not just Wycomico County, but branching out to Worcester County, branching out to Dorchester County and Somerset, so we can reach those young people there too.
Okay. And I know we talked about this a little bit at the beginning, but how can someone get involved with emerging leaders? What's the best way if someone's watching this at home?
If they're watching this at home, I think that the easiest way would just be call the United Way office.
And we'll put our phone number in
Okay,
right now,
good, 'cause
which
I
is
don't know.
410-742-5143.
Perfect. We have a meeting, like I said, the first Tuesday of every month at 5:30 at the United Way office. They can also, just by their campaign, by the donation of $250 or more a year, we automatically get their name, and we automatically start inviting you to events, to meetings, to whatever the functions are. That's really the first step, what I would think would be to want to donate at that level. That level of donation is really a commitment that you're giving, that you say that you see the value in what the United Way does for our community. Because again, the best part about our United Way is that all the money donated here stays right here on the shore.
And just to piggyback on what you said, I just crunched the numbers the other day because we're putting together our annual report. We've raised over $90,000
Wow.
this year. And that's been sort of a trend over the past few years since 2010 when the group started. So
Right.
young professionals in our community each year are raising over $90,000 just through personal giving alone. And I think we have about 500, or it's just over 500 couples and individuals giving at that leadership level through their paycheck and making it all possible. So let's talk a little bit about the campaign since we're talking about giving through payroll deduction. We are towards the end of our quote unquote campaign, which never really does end. I mean, it's a year round
Right,
thing, but
absolutely.
we're approaching the end of the official campaign. Can you talk a
Absolutely.
little bit about that?
It's really kind of exciting. I don't believe I don't have the exact number, but we're really close to our goal. And I think that we have an internal goal and we have an overall goal, and I think we're really close.
And the goal itself is $1.65 million.
It's a lot. It's huge.
It is. So how does all that money get raised in our community? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I think a lot of it. Again, we have all of our campaigns.
And for somebody who doesn't understand what a campaign is.
So a campaign would be your organization or your company that you work for. For example, one of our newest campaigns that we're really excited about this year is Delmarva Veterans Builders. They started it within their workplace, so they bring in all of their employees. We have the whole team from United Way goes and does a presentation to talk about what is United Way, who do we serve, what are some of the outcomes we've already seen, and kind of let everybody know how wonderful an organization United Way is. And then they do a payroll deduction. So you fill out some forms, agree to whatever amount you would like, and then you would do a payroll deduction. So it's quite simple as far as through your employer. If your employer does not have a campaign, people can always just donate directly, whether they want to do a monthly donation, a one-time donation, through their debit card or credit card. They can also just come to a lot of the events that are happening. I mean, we have, again, the event coming up at Headquarters Live. Our guest bartenders for that event, the one April 21st, will be Delmarva Veterans Builders. So we have Chris Eccleston and
Lee Beecham.
and then we've invited also Matt Holloway because they're such great friends to be at that event. So I think that'll be a great one. But again, another way to donate.
Right. And it's really easy to get a campaign started. It doesn't take a lot of time. We have a lot of volunteers and staff members that make it as painless as possible.
Absolutely.
But it's really important for everyone in our community to have that opportunity to give. I know for a lot of people, it's myself included, it's tough to sit down and write a check with triple digits in it.
Right,
you
absolutely.
know? But you still want to give back. And when you give through payroll deduction, it's able to add up over time, and you don't even miss it coming out of your paycheck.
Not at all.
A lot of people say it's like giving up a cup of coffee each week, which with as much as coffee is costing these days,
Absolutely.
that's a really nice cup of
Absolutely.
coffee.
Absolutely.
So, and then, like you said, there are different events. We've had some companies that have been unable to do payroll deduction for whatever reason or another, but they say, we still want to be involved. So let's think up a really cool fundraiser, and that's how actually RPS ISG International is a really good example of that. Every year they have our Preakness Palooza, which is coming up in May.
Yes.
And last year they raised over $10,000 for us through that one single event, where everybody goes to Evo, has a really good time, and watches Preakness on the big screen TV. And that's coming up. I think we're in our fourth or fifth year doing
Correct,
that now.
correct.
And then they do another event in the fall, which is the Frisbee Golf Tournament. Have you done that yet?
No,
I think you'd
haven't
be
quite-
really good at that.
I'm not really great at throwing a frisbee.
No one is. You'd be surprised. Although there are a couple ringers, but it's just another fun idea. And again, over $10,000 raised in one single event.
It's huge.
So there are lots of great things happening out there in our community, and again, it's all staying local.
I think that's the best part.
Yeah, and your family is one that's
Absolutely.
been helped by all of these programs. So
And especially living here on the shore, we have storms.
right.
Hurricane Sandy. Look at all we did for Crisfield, and we're still continuing to do for Crisfield.
We've been able, because of being a part of the network of United Ways, our little old United Way here on
Right.
the Eastern Shore of Maryland received all of the funding that was distributed on a national basis for the state of Maryland. And we've been able to put in over 200 or just about $200,000 into Somerset County to help almost 100 families get stabilized after the storm. And it's been a really incredible thing to be a part of.
I mean, you've seen the photos and you can see the smiles on their faces.
And to actually go into those homes and sit down and talk with the people. There was one woman, I will never forget her for the rest of my life. We're sitting there in her dilapidated home with mold everywhere. I could hardly breathe. I would sort of start, I'd feel my allergies kicking in as I'd walk in. And she was surrounded by all this damage, no food in her refrigerator, definitely aging. And we'd say something like, have you heard of Meals on Wheels? Are you interested? Can we get you in touch with that program? And she'd say, oh no, honey, that's for somebody who really needs it. So it's just, it's amazing to see the need out there, but it's also amazing to see the strength and the resilience of the people in our community.
Absolutely.
So is there any last final thoughts that you would like to give on emerging leaders before we conclude our program today?
Just that I think that for those people that are not sure, their level of commitment or their level of degree that they want to get involved, if people just want to come out to the events, it's a great way to just meet people, network, learn about more events coming up. We're never going to stop giving back. It's what makes it so fun. It's what makes it so rewarding. We are constantly planning new volunteer events. Again, we'll be probably doing another ramp build in June, but those happen all throughout the year. And we're again going to be we're looking forward, come fall, we're going to have a golf tournament. We want to do like a football themed golf tournament fundraiser at the Elks Lodge Golf Course because it's only 9 holes. So come out and get involved. I mean, give back to your community because it could be you. That's really what it comes down to, that crisis happens and accidents happen because they're accidents, and you never know who it's going to affect, if it's you personally or someone close to you. And it's just great that everything donated here stays on the shore.
Right. Well, thank you so much for
Absolutely.
joining
Thank you for
us
having
today. And thank you for watching United Way Update. For more information on our local United Way, visit our website at www.unitedwayforus.org or call us at 410-742-5143. And be sure to watch PAC 14 streaming live at www.pac14.org.
Would you like to see your community organization or nonprofit group featured on PAC 14? To get started, contact us at 410-677-5014 or visit our website at www.pac14.org. PAC 14 is a great way to connect with your community.